In a quiet village tucked between green hills and a silver river in eastern Nepal, there lived a girl named Sumina. She was different from the other children. While they laughed, shouted, and played games in the dusty village square, Sumina was often found sitting by herself, perfectly still and silent. She wasn't sad or lonely. She was listening.
She listened to the wind as it whispered secrets through the tall stalks of maize in the fields.
She listened to the tiny sparrows as they chirped and chattered on the thatched roofs of the houses.
And her favorite sound of all was the river, which hummed an ancient, soothing lullaby as it flowed past the village. Her parents, however, didn't understand. They worried about their quiet daughter. Why doesn't she talk and play like the other children? Her mother would often ask, her brow furrowed with concern. Her father would try to reassure her.
She's just shy, he'd say, though he wasn't entirely convinced himself.
But Sumnima's grandfather, whose eyes had grown dim with age but whose heart was full of wisdom, would simply smile.
Don't you see? He'd tell them gently. She hears the things that others miss. Her silence is not empty. It is full of the world's music.
That is her gift. One morning, the world felt clean and new after a heavy monsoon rain.
Sumina, drawn by the fresh scent of wet earth, wandered down to the riverbank. The river, which had been a roaring torrent the night before, had now calmed, leaving behind a treasure trove of smooth stones and glistening pebbles on its sandy shore. As they walked, her eyes were drawn to one stone in particular. It was different from all the others. It was perfectly round, the color of a pale blue sky, and it seemed to shimmer with a faint inner light in the morning sun. Curiosity piqued. She reached down and picked it up. The stone was cool and smooth in her palm.
But as she held it, she felt something extraordinary, a soft, gentle vibration.
Like a tiny heartbeat or a secret song trapped deep inside. It was a melody only she could feel. She clutched the stone tightly, a sense of wonder filling her. That evening, she didn't put it with her other river treasures. Instead, she carefully placed the pale blue stone under her pillow before she went to sleep. That night, Sumina had the most vivid dream of her life. She found herself standing in a glowing, magical forest. The trees weren't still. They swayed gracefully, their leaves rustling in time to an unheard music that filled the air.
Above, the moon wasn't just a silent observer.
It was a singer, casting down silver light as it sang beautiful, calming lullabies. And right in the center of this enchanted forest, she saw her stone. It was no longer just a stone. It was a source of brilliant, pulsing light, the very heart of the forest song. When she woke the next morning, the dream was still clear in her mind. She reached under her pillow, felt the smooth stone, and whispered her first words in days, a soft declaration of her discovery. The stone sings. As the weeks turned into months, a strange and heavy quiet began to settle over Sumnima's village.
It wasn't the peaceful quiet she loved, but a weary, worried silence. The monsoon rains didn't return. The once mighty river shrank,
its powerful hum diminishing to a weak murmur.
In their fields, the maize stalks, once so green and proud, began to wilt and turn yellow under the relentless sun. The birds, whose songs usually filled the morning air, stopped singing. Even the children, once so full of energy, grew quiet and listless. The laughter had faded from the village. A deep sense of unease spread among the people.
The village elders gathered, their faces etched with worry.
They looked at the parched earth and the pale sky.
"The land is tired," one of them said, his voice heavy. "Our ancestors have been forgotten. The spirits are displeased. We must offer prayers and make offerings to appease them."
The villagers nodded in agreement, preparing for ceremonies and rituals, hoping to bring back the life that was draining away from their home.
But Sumina, who had been listening not just with her ears but with her whole being, felt that the answer was something different. She looked at the worried faces of her friends and family. She felt the sadness of the thirsty earth, and she remembered the song from her dream. She knew what she had to do. Holding her precious singing stone, she walked through the silent village to the ancient, sprawling bar tree that stood near the temple. Its huge branches had provided shade for generations. She sat beneath its great, gnarled roots, closed her eyes, and held the smooth blue stone in her hands. Taking a deep breath, she began to hum the melody she had heard in her dream. At first, it was just a whisper, a sound so faint it was almost lost in the silence. But she kept humming, putting all her heart into the simple, beautiful tune. Then, something magical began to happen. The still air started to move. A gentle breeze stirred, and it seemed to join her song, rustling the dry leaves of the bar tree in perfect rhythm.
A lone Mina bird, perched on a high branch, broke its long silence and added a few chirps to her melody.
From far away in the hills, a sound like a distant, echoing drumbeat seemed to answer her call. Drawn by this strange, new music, the villagers slowly started to gather. They came out of their homes, leaving their preparations for the rituals, and walked towards the old bar tree. They stood in a wide circle, their faces full of wonder and confusion. They watched the small, silent girl they had never quite understood, now filling the air with a song without words.
They stood in complete silence as Sumina hummed, her voice growing a little stronger, soft but steady.
The pale blue stone in her hand began to emit a faint, gentle glow, pulsing in time with her humming. As the last note of her song faded into the air, a profound silence fell once more. But this time, it was a silence filled with anticipation. Sumina opened her eyes and looked up above, where there had been only a clear, unforgiving sky. Dark clouds had begun to gather, swirling together as if woven by her melody.
A cool breeze, the first in weeks, swept through the village, carrying the scent of distant rain. And then it came. A single raindrop landed on Sumnima's forehead.
Then another on a dry leaf. Soft at first, the drops began to fall faster, becoming a steady, life-giving rain. The thirsty earth seemed to sigh with relief, drinking in every drop. The wilted crops in the fields slowly began to lift their heads. The river, which had been so quiet, began to swell, its familiar, happy hum returning.
The birds, as if woken from a long sleep, burst into a chorus of joyful song.
The villagers, standing in the gentle downpour, wept with joy and relief. They looked at Sumina with awe.
She brought the rain. They whispered to one another, "The little girl who never speaks. She healed the land with her song." Sumina didn't say anything. She didn't need to. A small, peaceful smile touched her lips. She looked at the now glowing stone in her hand,
then gently placed it at the base of the great bar tree, a gift back to the earth.
From that day on, everything was different. The village was full of life again, but it was also full of a new kind of listening.
Whenever the land felt heavy or the skies seemed dry and empty, Sumnima would go and sit beneath the bar tree.
She would close her eyes and simply hum her gentle song.
In the land, the river, and the sky would always listen, and balance would be restored.
Travelers passing through would hear stories of the girl who sang to the rain and would come to hear her.
The village children, inspired by some, learned to sit still and listen to the whispers of the wind and the secrets of the river. And the villagers never forgot the lesson she had taught them. That sometimes the most powerful magic and the deepest, most beautiful songs come from the quietest voices. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe for more tailies from around the world.